everybody, this is Rich Hanlin with Mortgage Ballers, and today I actually went out of my own boundaries. Instead of going after another conversation with a top producing LO, I decided to have a conversation with a top producing account executive, but he's not just an account executive. He's Tony Bevaque. Am I saying
That's
it
me.
right?
You got it right, man. You got it right, brother.
Right on. Tony, thanks so much for coming. Tony, tell
Thank you.
everybody who you're with.
I'm with Resi Central.
All right.
Yep.
What people don't know about Tony is this. He was a pain in my side when I first got Xpert up and running. He would call me and call me and call me. But this is, to his credit, it's this way. It wasn't a bad call. Tony works hard. And he came up with Cardinal. You understand, Tony's been around a long time. Tony, how many years you been doing this?
Oh, geez, 2 years, I think, now altogether.
Yeah, I mean, he's a what I call a seasoned relationship. People always ask me, Rich, who do you use? Who do you use? And I said, I have about 6 lenders that I use. I'm after relationship, and I know what those 6, I can pick up the phone and call, and I can get somewhere. They understand the programs. They understand what they do. They understand how to get it done. I don't chase rate on any given day. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses, and I learn those, but I use about 5 to 6 lenders, and I do all my business through those 5 to 6. I don't deviate and do that one-off crazy deal because I don't need that and look bad. Instead, I stay in my lane, and I still get a lot done. Don't get me wrong, but there are deals that when they come, I'm like, yeah, that's not me. That's not me. Maybe there's something out there for you. I would not be a good fit, and it's okay to turn business down. Meanwhile, let me get back to the things I do really well, that I have this team around me that's accountable. And people say, you're Xpert Home Lending, you're a president. Yeah, I also originate. I also do real estate, 44 states worth of lending, not only as a broker, but personally, I'm licensed in 44 states. And the only way I can do cross-border business is to have trusted people I work with. And Tony's one of those people. He will call back, and he will get to the people that need to get it done. And today I'm going to give him a showcase because he deserves it. Let me tell you what he did. He took one of our low lenders, Cardinal, when we first opened up. He came on with Cardinal. And before he was done with Cardinal, which we can talk about in a second, he brought them to our number 2 lender at one time. That is hard work to take and push all those lenders out. And he probably loved every bit of it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Fast forward, when Tony moved, he called up, said, Rich, I'm not with Cardinal no more. Most of the time, my average AEs called and say that, they burn, and I'm like, hey, well, I don't care. We don't use you anyways. But that wasn't the case with Tony. And he said, I went to Resi Central. And I'm like, well, great news. We're already approved with Resi Central, and we don't do any business with them. So good news. I'm going to switch out that AE. You're my guy. And he jumped in, and I believe he's been as high as 3rd with Resi, probably top 5 right in there. Brought them from not being a top up because he works so hard. You deserve the spotlight today, Tony. Thanks so much for being with me, man.
Thank you, man. And I appreciate it. I really, really do. It definitely a lot of hard work, but a lot of relationships built, a lot of bridges built, and it's paid off. Hard work does pay, man, 100%.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Tony, you said you've been doing this 22 years. And I believe you because you got the war wounds showing.
Got the, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got the war wounds showing.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, but we are at that age where sometimes I get up in the morning and go, what am I doing? What keeps you going in this business, man, after all these years?
Oh, man, that's a great question. So here's the thing that does it for me. It's being there to help people grow that want to grow in the business, like sharing what I can with people to help them grow their business, seeing them succeed and knowing that I'm affecting not just them, but the people around them and their families, their friends, the communities around them. And not only that, but also at the same time, we're not selling widgets here. We're selling the American dream. We're getting people into houses. That's huge. And so every day, even when I'm like exhausted, tired as all get out, there's still that spark that says that I still got something in me to help people every single day. You got to do it, whether it's Monday through Friday or we were talking earlier about Saturday. Sometimes you work on a Saturday when you have to and help
Yeah.
somebody get a deal done.
That, and I appreciate you saying that because you're sharing that story with me about Keisha Shannon.
Hmm.
Loan officers are hungry and they're out there getting business, doing open houses, doing all the activities. And sometimes, guess what? They end up with a question after hours. They end up with a question on the weekend, on a holiday. And quite honestly, that's what starts to separate those relationships. And so I appreciate you picking the phone on a Saturday because I can tell you
No
I've got
problem.
about 100 lenders that wouldn't pick up.
That's okay. They can do that. Um, I answer the phone anytime I can. It's been literally everything from before I could get toothpaste out of the toothbrush to just before I'm falling asleep. I'm not even kidding. I've had folks out on the West Coast call at midnight, and I'll answer sometimes if I'm awake, and it freaks them out. But I'd
Wait,
rather
where
do
where are
that.
you out of?
I'm in
Where do you live?
Michigan. I'm in
Oh,
Michigan. I'm
okay.
on
All
East
right.
Coast time.
So you're on my
So
same time frame. I thought you were in California for a second there.
no, 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 no. I'm
Okay.
all the way out in the mitten. So yeah, I've literally answered midnight. Just been sitting there doing whatever and just answer the phone. Anytime I can, I want to be there.
How, okay, how does that work on your marriage, man? That doesn't work for me
Uh,
very well anymore?
well, I'll say this. My wife was in the business for a while. Now she's
Okay.
doing something different. She hates it, but she understands.
Okay.
And it's usually a-okay. And if I tell her that it's something specific, like on Saturday, we were about to go grocery shopping. And I said, I gotta take this call, help Keisha out with this. She's not the most happy about it, but she knows that I'm helping somebody get something done. I'm not
Right.
just sitting there twiddling my thumbs.
No, I appreciate that. And thank you, Miss Bevaque,
Mm-hmm.
for doing that.
Yep.
Because my person benefited from it. I think one of the reasons on these spotlights is so many people, they corner me and say, oh, he's a loan officer, to you, oh, he's an account executive, as if it's the same across the board, and I'm like, I want people to understand, yeah, that's something I do, but that you don't know me, and those are the relationships. If they understood who you are outside of the daily lending, I know that you've brought Resi Central and Cardinal to be one of our top fives. I mean, you've done it twice now. I mean, hats off to you in this market. You didn't pick easy lenders, but you took platforms and you made it easy for our people. And what they're responding to is when you dial in, they know Tony's on it. And that is the relationship difference. When I've got somebody waiting, I've got a tough deal, somebody that understands our programs, who to go to. And I also know that you're not going to sugarcoat it. If it's not a good fit, that's sometimes the best thing to do is, stop fighting here. That's not going to work here. I've tried it before. I'm not sure where to go. I just know don't waste any more time here. Call whoever your second or third lender is, because that's not going to be a good fit for us. And that's okay too. Some people forget that it's okay to say no. And that's where some of the other people, they just say yes all day. And I'm like, you can't do that. Come on.
No. And you know what? It's funny that you say that because I started out in broker shops. That's where I started. I had a quick stint I had a retail company years and years ago, UC Lending, if you remember that.
UC Lending.
They became Aegis later. They're gone now.
Okay.
But I went to a broker shop almost immediately after that because it just wasn't a good fit. And the things that I saw with the account executives of, oh yeah, that sounds like it should work, and then it would explode and they'd be nowhere to be found. I took all of those lessons of being available, knowing how to say no, and knowing to vet the answer to the best of my ability. Am I going to make mistakes? Yeah, everybody does. But that was the stuff that I saw happen when I was cutting my teeth is the stuff I try to avoid every day because I
Great.
would never want to be the guy that causes that sort of anxiety and grief and not being able to relax and enjoy the evening after work that I had to go through.
Mm-hmm.
When I was getting my start. So you're 100% right. Not everybody's cut the same.
I agree. We had a deal here, and I haven't seen this forever, but our deal started. It was the first one of 7 deals. Like, even though we didn't have 7, each house that was being purchased was taking the money to the next one to close, to close, to close. And they had set them all up on the same day. And I remember we were like 2 days short. And it wasn't that we had done anything there. It was something weird that the borrower needed or something that came up last second, but the borrower knew about it, didn't say anything. And so it was caught and we had to fix it at the last second. Of course, going right into a weekend. We got it done, but I'm, that we had 7 real estate agents and we did right by all 7 of those transactions because truthfully we're supposed to be the professionals and we should have caught it earlier and not allowed it to go that far. It all went through, but we paid for a lot of hotels that weekend for some people to do right. They probably still hate us because obviously we interrupted them, but we back ourselves in the hole sometimes that we don't have to be there. I'm always trying to think, I don't want that situation. It's so painful to have to call 7 people and they're all saying, we'll never use you, you're horrible. Why didn't you catch that? And it's like, I'm the broker. It wasn't even brought to my attention until 5 minutes ago. I'm just going to let you know that I'm now involved. You should have been involved earlier. Like I said, maybe you could have called me last week. Why do we got to wait till the hour before it's supposed to happen before you let me know? I can move mountains. I have people here that can move mountains. Lisa Budd can move
A lot of mountains.
I was going to say Antarctica size, big things of snow, glaciers. She can move. I can move mountains. She moves glaciers like the whole North Pole. Not taking advantage, and this is where I'm kind of going with this. You have all this ability sitting here all day long. Give me a little lead time, and I can do a lot of things. You put me at 5:01 on a Friday and say you got to get it done in 15 minutes. Well, you've set all this. Otherwise, you're the worst person in the world. I could have troubleshot that because I would have saw that a mile away a week ago. Had you brought it to my attention, I could have told you how to fix it right then and there. We wouldn't have the problem. Most AEs right now are just dialing for dollars. They truly don't know what they're doing. And a lot of people, and I'll be honest, and you've gone through this with us, we do a lot of purchase. We're going to get refis, but we do a lot of purchase. That means we're going to have multiple people on the transaction. You better be dealing with relationships that understand the type of business that you're doing. Because if they're just dialing for dollars, it's just a numbers game to them, but they'll blow your pipeline up in 2 seconds. Because this is what I was going to tell you. I've had experiences before where they say, Rich, we would like you to do more business. We're like, man, you guys' prices are good. Can you handle 100 deals per month? I mean, you've been doing 20. These are purchases. And when I unleash my people, if you don't come through and they don't hit, if you don't hit, these are some of the best in the nation, they're going to light you up. And sure enough, Ditech, we gave them 100 deals and they called up and said, whoa, we only have like 6 people working at this. Like, we can't. And I'm like, no, whoa. We talked about this. Cut us off. No more. Don't do any more. And I was like, that was my first time I started to understand that not all lenders are the same. They don't all have these huge, sets of people behind them working, and the size of the lender starts to matter and what they do and how they do it. Also learned, if you're going to do the bottom of the barrel borrowers, usually the lenders that do that are going to pick the cream of the crap, because there's a reason why that person has a crappy score and has never paid a bill. But now you want them to have the red carpet rolled out to them because they have a right to be a homeowner, even though they haven't showed they know how to make a single payment on time. I get it. We're brokers and we want to help people, but I treat all my borrowers the same. But going into those transactions, I make sure I'm with the right lender that matches the right loan. I don't try and take something tough to somebody just because they have the lowest rate. I know it's tough. Tony, you've already looked at this. You've already gone up the ladder. Hey, Rich, if we do this, and this looks good to me. I can take it to the bank. That somebody doesn't mean he's perfect. No, but I'd rather take a Tony taking it to the bank than somebody who's just trying to dial for dollars. I've never met him before in his life. Crazy.
100%. Because, anybody that's ever talked to me and given me a scenario, if I don't know the answer immediately, I'm going to an underwriter. No 2 ways about it. I want an underwriter to confirm it. And sometimes even if you've got different components, that this component works, that component works, but we got 2, 3 of those together, still want an underwriter to look at it, because I don't take it for granted that people are trusting me with their paychecks. And for some people, that may be their only check that month is that deal. And it's a commitment to me to make sure that it 100% does work when you've got that kind of funky deal. And one of the reasons why I picked this company, you mentioned capacity, all that sort of stuff. Very thoughtful planning about how things are going and how they're growing and how each thing that they're doing is going to affect everything as a whole. So as an example, maybe we're using a TPO website right now. It's not the fanciest, but it gets the job done. You could set a file up, maybe take you 10, 15 minutes to have it ready to disclose. Could we have a fancy website? Absolutely, 100%. The money is probably there. But if we did that, then it starts to affect rates and it starts to affect the ability to hire more as needed. As is right now, they were thoughtful about making sure that we have enough staff to carry us to about May, somewhere around there, June. And then they're going to start looking at hiring probably maybe in April. I think we'll start looking at hiring more people again. But that sort of thoughtful consideration with this company is what attracted me, because that's like how I try to approach things as much as possible, is to be thoughtful. Do I dial for dollars? Yeah, sometimes I am. Everybody does. You'd be a liar if you said you didn't. But it's the thought behind it when you were dealing with each other that matters the most, and making sure that you're thinking about the impact of the relationship and what the long term is. Because ultimately, I take a loan from you, Rich, and I write the name on a spreadsheet or on a board somewhere. That loan doesn't close. It doesn't really matter. Or it closes and it closes bad. You're never dealing with me again. I want to work with people that I can go to again and again and again. And over time, we learn about each other. We develop a relationship and, become trusted advisors for each other on everything, and have that sort of agreement that, we're not going to just throw stuff at a wall and see what sticks on both sides.
I agree. Absolutely. And that's that relationship side. I get some loans and I'm like, I'm not giving this to any of my top 5. I'm going to give it some, it's going to go to somebody else because I can't do this to people. All right. We'll come back to work stuff. Here's my thing. People know you as Tony from Resi Central. I want to know more, man, when you're not in loan mode, when you're not going 100 miles an hour, when you're not dialing, when you're not putting in, the success track, because we talked about it. Like right now, normally that could be 40 calls. Right now, that's 80 calls. You're doubling just to stay within your numbers, because that's who you are. You've been doing that for 3 years. I mean, I've been watching you do it. A lot of respect for you, Tony.
Thank you.
But who are you? What do you like to do when you're not in loan mode? What are your hobbies? Who's Tony when he's not in loan mode?
Glad you asked. So, well, I'll tell you, I've got some pretty wide-ranging interests. I'm a big reader. I like spending time outdoors and hiking, stuff like that, because it's good to clear the brain and get away from everything. But reading is a big one for me. I like to spend time with family and friends. As you can see, I've got a pool table back there and a bar. I love.
Oh, I thought that was a screensaver.
No. And there's, I'm a big fan of having the occasional bourbon after work, that sort of thing. But, I like stuff that's going to challenge my mind a bit, but also, spending time with family and friends is a big one for me. And
I like it.
Just interconnecting with the people that matter in your life, and your whys, really. That's the most important stuff. So those are the main things I would tell you, that I like to do outside of this when I can.
Right. When we can, I know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know how it is, man.
Oh yeah. Well, tell me this. I mean, I want to dive into the 22 years plus of that side of you. You've seen it all. You went through the 2008 crash, right? So, I mean, you know what I'm talking with that. Knowing what you know now, knowing what you've been through, what you've seen, you've gone through a lot of the same technology updates that I have, AUS, where it used to be, everything was, you had books, guidelines, manuals.
Going to the fax machine to get the rates.
Yes, absolutely. We used to get them all day. Have the faxes come in yet? We used to burn to them little faxes.
Handwriting those 1003s, man.
Absolutely. But, what do you tell people that are saying, hey, 22 years, it's different now. I'm struggling. You probably talk to all kinds of brokers out there. What's your advice? You got a lot of experience. What's your advice to the loan officer? You meet a lot of loan officers, from high-end loan officers to struggling loan officers, and share something knowledgeable that you see as far as traits and or differences between those who you think are more successful and those who aren't.
I mean, you hit something right away with the fact that, you've got to do more now, but that means that you need to adapt to the technology and the tone of the times, and find ways to manage your time better. Number one, instead of just sitting there mindlessly dialing or whatever. I mean, you could attest, Rich, used to be considered rude to text a customer. Now you got some people, that's all they'll do. Whether it's that sort of stuff or just, different technologies that you can use, you've really got to avoid becoming the curmudgeon. It's really, really easy to be like, well, I know all there is to know, and this is how it's done, and it's always been done that way, and
Wait a
that's
second.
it.
Hold on. Editor, are we allowed to use that word curmudgeon? Is that allowed on a website? Okay. You give me a
Okay.
thumbs up. Thumbs up?
Thumbs up. Okay. Well, you
All
know
right, we're
what I
good.
mean. You don't want to
kidding.
be that person that's just the crusty old guy that's just like, I refuse to do that. I've
Oh,
seen it
man.
100 times over where they just refuse to learn and to accept that things are different. You've got to constantly accept that everything is flowing and changing. Number one, and number two, next thing I would tell you that I've learned is that you've got to have your metrics to measure yourself against. You've got to have. Um, when I was one of my most successful runs as a loan officer, I had it down to a metric as to it's this many calls, or this many credit pulls, or this many loans in, or I don't leave. And that was something that I stuck to hard. Didn't matter. I don't care how exhausted I was. I had plenty of lunches sitting at my desk, but I knew what my numbers were. And you have to do that. You have to know what your ultimate goal is. What is it? Is it a certain dollar amount? Is it a certain unit number? But whatever that is, what's it going to take to get me there? And be ready to destroy everything that you thought you had right to get you to that next level. My sales mentor used to always say, you have to be ready to blow up everything that you've done so far, because what got you to where you are right now isn't going to get you where you want to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've really got to, have a good understanding of what it will take. Like we were talking earlier, before we got really rolling here, you've got to have the recipe. If you want to make a cake, you got to have a recipe in order to know what the ingredients are. But if you have just the ingredients with no recipe, it's still no good. It's the two together.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I was sharing with Tony that I'm wrapping up 127 interviews with loan officers. Some of them the best of the best in the whole nation, not just our company, but some of them would be newer to the industry and or in the lower percentile of our company. But I had Answer Home Loans where I used to do the same thing. I love talking to my loan officers because I want to understand, is there a magic pill? Is there something different? How do you do this month in and month out? And how do you not do this month in, month out? There's got to be something that's different. And there is. And it's that you kind of talked about. Everybody says it a little different, but it's waking up in the morning and saying, I'm measuring. And if it's not working, I'm making small changes. I'm constantly tweaking. And people push me all the time, Tony, and say, well, Rich, you're just always trying to have everybody be the next, top person. I'm like, well, I'm going to be honest with you. That's all I've ever known is you wake up in the morning. Now, I didn't wake up and try and be a big broker, but I do want to be as successful as whatever expert wants to go. So I put in the same energy in the same direction. Whether or not I'm going to be number one over Nexa one day, I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we will. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, look, we all woke up in the morning. We all took a shower, had a cup of coffee or whatever you have in the morning to get yourself going. We did all of that. Why do all that effort, go through all that effort to just kind of halfway do it?
I
Do it
agree.
all the way. If you're going
Turning
to
my
get up
phone
in the
off. Sorry
morning
about that.
and spend the day, you might as well do something with yourself and make life better for yourself and the people around you.
Well, I think a lot of people, I believe that people, once they start, there's a difference of being uncomfortable and pushing through that to find out what you're really made out of. I've been very fortunate that people would not, I've done a lot of things in my life where I was like, oh, this is uncomfortable. They're like, well, what does that have to do with it? You haven't hit your numbers for the day. Get back in there, push through that fatigue, push through that mindset. And it's weird what it showed me. I used to call leads. And it was a lot of turn downs, people yelling, screaming at you. And when I first started doing it, man, I used to internalize it. It was so personal, like people screaming. And then later on, it was like, gosh, the faster I can get that person to identify themselves as not wanting to do anything, because it became a number. Cool. I know if I call 100, I'm going to get 2 loans out of this, maybe 5 applications. You're just not one of them. Thank you for saving me time. I don't need to waste an hour on the phone with you. Good. You made it real clear. Out of here. And it truly was just burning and turning, burning and turning, burning and turning. Now, a lot of people never get, I think everybody could benefit from calling leads. I'm not going to lie, because
100%.
that is the hang up of how can you call 50 people in a day? Oh, it's very possible. It's very possible to call 20, 30. I mean, the core talks about 25 people a day. A lot of the coaching programs, they just want you doing something. It's actionable, measurable items, and they know it's a numbers game. So they get you in that mindset. I was sharing with Michael Radcliffe, and he told me he was coaching somebody on the side, and he told her, you're going to call. You're going to do it. And she would call every day, crying her eyes out, saying, I don't know I could do it. And he goes, but you said you're going to give me 1 month. And you're going to do exactly what I told you. And she went back. And about the second week, she called and it's like, it's kind of weird. It wasn't as bad today as it was last week. And he's like, really? Huh. It's funny how but so many people will never get to that, to be able to say that, because they pull out of boot camp, after a week. But I promise you, your mind is incredible. Your stamina is incredible. So many lives in this industry, based on the average loan amount, could be changed financially if they just had one more loan to their average per month.
One
Let
more.
alone 5, 10, 15. I get it. Those are huge numbers, but just one more loan could be financially life-changing to people. Tony, here's the one thing I noticed. I got a lot of friends, I'm going to be 58 this year, that are retiring or have retired out of this industry. We helped so many people over the years get their first houses, get their 10th house, get their 100th door. But a lot of the loan officers over the years, even real estate agents, they've left. And I'm like, they literally have nothing. And I'm thinking, why are we not getting, it should also be mandatory that every loan originator, every real estate agent should own at least one rental. Like, taking our strengths, why are we not using our strengths to also benefit and help others? How is anybody going to trust us if we're too afraid to step outside that boundary? I don't know. I'm thinking a little out
I'm going to
loud
throw
right
something here, because you're
Throw it
hitting
in.
so
Let
many
it rip.
things, that I'm like, yes. So backing up just a little bit here.
All right.
When you were talking about that Radcliffe, with that person being uncomfortable, that's where all your growth happens, is it being uncomfortable. You don't grow being comfortable. You
I agree.
stagnate, and you wind up with the nothing that you were just talking about. You 100%. I know you and I are cut from the same cloth, and I know a lot of people there are exactly the same, where you'll be beat. At the end of the day, you've given up everything. All right, I got one more in me. One more. Sometimes I'll look, I sit there and refresh, and I'll be like, okay, here's where I'm sitting at. All right, I got to have an even number before I stop. Just anything I can do to make myself go just a little bit further. You've got to do it. And if you can't be uncomfortable, you've really got to get used to it. You've got to be able to, it's almost like with entertainers, they'll talk about it, where like the first time they'll do something in front of people, they're uncomfortable. Now it's like it's no big deal to them. And it's because of that repetition of doing it over and over and over again, it makes the uncomfortable comfortable. In terms of retiring and getting out of this business with nothing, I think you can attest to this one as well. Some of us are our biggest enemies, and I know I saw it again and again and again in my time leading salespeople in different departments and whatnot, where you get that first big check, and the next thing you know, they're going buying that Ferragamo belt, or they're going to go ahead and get a lease on a car that they can barely afford. You've really got to think long term with this business and think about having those pockets ready. So, I've been through a couple of transitions over the past few years. Having that cushion there is critical. You've got to have something there, and
Makes you think differently for sure.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
and when you can do that, that's the other thing I was going to say is when you have that cushion there, it takes a lot of the anxiety. I had somebody say it a couple days ago, and it made me laugh. You don't have commission breath coming through the phone, you know, where you're just desperate to get a check, and it comes through. So, uh, yeah, you were saying all those things, and I just kept going. Little light bulbs were going off the whole time. Uh, it's amazing how much that thread runs through with all of us.
It does, and it's for sometimes I think it's lost. You know, the average loan officer is like 46, 47 years old. You know, you touched on it that since 2021, over 400,000 active licenses now, like under 100,000 active licenses.
Hmm.
Last year, out of all the real estate licenses, only 28% did at least one transaction. And you know, I look at it both ways. Maybe we had too many licensees because a lot of people get in for a quick, if I can just do one deal a year, but they don't realize that this is a full time job and it needs to be treated that way, or you're not going to get full time results. That's one thing that my mentors have told me over the years. Like it, you know, I played baseball growing up, and you know, there's sometimes we gave up 15 runs in the first inning, and he's like, "Well, this is going to be a true test of character because guess what? We're
Hmm.
going to play all 27 outs, and you got to be able to play as if you know it's you're still in the game. Pitchers, you're going to still have to pitch.
Hmm.
You're going to have to find a way. We're not just going to forfeit the game. We're going to play all 27 outs. And here's why: because you might be surprised. Sometimes you can put up 16 runs and win a game, and it was correct. I mean, sometimes you just have a bad day, a bad month, and you have to trust your averages. If you're not measuring, do you even know what your averages are? I mean, I know what my averages are now, they're ingrained in me, but I track every single day. I mean, I have every day since we opened this company, and people say you're lying, Rich. Every single day since we opened February 1st, 2022, I have every import that we've done, every funding that we've done. I want to see the percentages. I want to see what's changing. So I can go year over year and look. I can look at, you know, springtime versus wintertime. I can tell you this that we're having back to back to back record months. We had a record month last
Love it.
September when the rates first dropped. January turned out to be our second biggest month. Now February is taking over, will be our second. January, our third biggest month. March will probably be our number one month. And to have 3 months of momentum, that's the first time we've seen that. That never happens before the springtime. And January 1st, like something's going on. And that's what I'm talking about. You there is momentum out there, and it's for us it's a lot of purchases, still not a lot of refis. What Talk to me about refis. What are you seeing on your side from a lender standpoint, because you see what's coming in the door?
So first off, I got to tell you, you're 100% right about the way that it's trending right now. I posted something about it earlier. It's like that the purchase season is sprouting up faster than my wife
A lot
has all these
faster.
little plastic cups with sprouts in them, and they're all, you know, she's getting ready to plant her seedlings, and they're just blowing up everywhere. It's better than that. It's even crazier than that. I don't know exactly what is causing it to jump off so quick, but I do think that what is happening more than anything, you mentioned that a lot of people left. So you get some people that have look at it in a negative way and say, you know, well, the pie has shrunk, and so you got people leaving. Well, yeah, but if the pie shrinks and you've got less people trying to take a slice of the pie, it means that there's more for those people that are there. What I really think realistically is happening is a lot of the temporary folks, the people that thought that this was going to be some sort of turnkey mailbox money thing, uh, have started to fade out. And a lot of the people that jumped in quickly when COVID happened and rates dropped to historic lows, and I always say it was like going fishing and the fish just jump in the boat. Like it's those days are gone, uh, and it's
Yes,
real
they
work.
did.
It's real work again. Um, but the thing is that if you do dedicate yourself to it, you know, to go back to what you were saying there, if you dedicate yourself to it, this is a lifelong. It's an addiction. Um, I left for a hot second around the time when everything exploded and decided to try and do something different with marketing and advertising. And I always make a joke about it that it's like that scene in the mafia, you know. I tried to get out, but they pulled me back in, and it's the same thing. Like I can't imagine doing anything other than this because of the fact that if you do dedicate yourself to it, and if you're willing to you know, put your nose to the grindstone and really put at least a good 12 months or more in on it of just working really hard, you'll be halfway up the mountain before you even realize you started walking up it.
2025 for me, I'm going to be getting with the loan officer. I talked about that with you, that I'm coming out from behind the desk to get out in front of it. Or matter of fact, we're going to start traveling more, getting local with our people. I've got coaches that are going to be coming in and teaching our people what's working today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you do this, you will get a result.
Mm-hmm.
Teach people how to do some of the things. You know, so many people are like, well, I can't afford to do anything. And I'm like, yeah, but there's a lot of things you can do for free. Like you can go put a sign. I mean, put a sign and go shake your own sign on the corner, on a busy corner for the weekend. Oh, I'd never do that. I'm like, I have. I'm like, and I got calls. Guess what? You know, people are calling. I'm picking up my phone, and they're like, "Is that guy picking up the phone?" Yeah, it's me. It's me. Just put a little reggae, wig on and go out there and shake that sign. You know,
whatever you got to do.
We do whatever we have to do. And I laugh at myself. My brother-in-law was also a broker, and we would challenge each other, which we'd have a good time, make it way easier. So,
yeah,
man, talk about this with me. I know I'm taking a lot of your time, and especially on the
you're fine.
day, but I told you I was going to showcase you because you deserve it. Number one. Second of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you because you've helped grow Xpert Home Lending. And in essence, you've done exactly what we've done. You've taken two relationships that we had and actually turned them into profitable relationships for those companies. And you've done it twice, not just once. So it wasn't by chance. It was Tony that did that. And that's what I'm trying to get with people is I want to showcase those who are shakers and movers. I don't want people to say, oh, it's just another AE. It's like, no. If Tony you have to understand, if Tony calls me and says that a loan officer's being a little too much, I actually trust Tony over the loan officer, right? Because he's been around a long time and I've had a relationship with him. We're way past that point of guessing whether Tony knows what a good LO is or isn't. If he says, Rich, this person needs a little help. I've had people call up and say, man, I've told Tony we're not going to use them anymore because they blew this one transaction. I'm like, okay, well, Tony, that probably went in one ear out the other because that's not how it works. Tony's not going anywhere because if Tony couldn't do it, it probably means nobody could do it. And guess what? You know, there's obviously more to that story, but if you'll start to look at him as an advisor, as a person in the war with you, trying to help you get there, Tony doesn't blow smoke. If he thinks he can do it, there's a reason he said it. He's probably already spoken to an underwriter or somebody. So he's not making decisions on his own. There's a lot of well thought out processes behind it. And I already know that. You know, if I put my name on something, it's because I've sat down and looked at it. I don't just blow smoke, especially if I know there's realtors involved, if I know there's borrowers involved and buyers, people, you know, I don't want to set anybody up for failure. Nobody does. I don't need any money. I'd rather do the deal for zero, and I do deals for zero. If we screw it up, my loan officers don't even know, but sometimes we write refund checks and we just don't say anything because we make stuff go away and do right by their clients. I don't need them stressing out like, oh my God, I just got paid. Now I got to give the money back. It's like, no, let's use it as a learning and let's get better, but don't maybe go down that route. Maybe we don't go down that route no more. This is what I wanted to ask you is, tell me this, Resi Central, what is the most product that you bring in? Is it conventional? Is it FHA, VA, even? What is your
great question?
Your pipeline look like for Tony?
So right now at the moment, in particular, and I'll use Xpert as an example here. So I'm going to say conventional and FHA. Those are the main things that I'm seeing a lot of. Some VA, and then the occasional, we do some DSCR, some bank statement, and we have some new non-QM stuff coming. That is the majority of what I am seeing. And, you know, it's funny you mentioned that about, I could think of one person in particular that might have been, you know, it's funny. By and large, I've only had, you know, out of the millions that we've done here, you know, I've only had 2 calls. Well, no, and it's funny
because from you. The other one was from the loan officer.
Well, no, I'm just thinking to myself, like I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know, I've only had a couple of loans. all, really. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But that I think is again the vetting process. Lot of that, a lot of purchase, more purchase than refi. The refis, they're coming in pockets, and I think that I keep saying it over and over again. It's a matter of if you're not keeping those feelers out there, if you're not keeping stuff on file, if you think it's coming, you're not getting those opportunities. Because if you're not getting in there and locking quickly, these windows are like they're almost like trying to catch a star twinkling. If you stare at the sky for long enough, you're eventually going to blink and miss it. And it's a matter of being able to continually see what's going on in the market. I send out emails every morning. I don't send them out to you because I know you get so many emails summarizing like here's what's going on. For example, we've got consumer spending and confidence that's coming up, I think, on Thursday, which is going to be the big mover. If anything's going to move the market in data, it's going to be that. Otherwise, we're on this roller coaster right now with the bond market, and it's about being able to be ready ahead of time if you want to get those refis. Otherwise, keep in touch with your realtors and make sure that you're continually seeding to get more of them because they're important. They're 100% important. I mean, there's nobody, you can get your friends and family to send you stuff, but nobody's more important than a realtor at the end of the day.
We talk about, we have realtors, we have us as the loan side of it, and then we have our lenders. And to be successful, those three do need to work together. They need to be on the same page. It's not us against them. That's a we thing. I always tell people the borrower's not my customer, my loan originators and their real estate agents are my customer because that's where those deals are coming from. They bring the transactions. I'm not bringing them the loans, but my goal is to give them the lineup of lenders that they can use to get deals done. The cream rises to the top, and it always does. After our top 5 or 6, I mean, we talked about it. 90+% of our deals, maybe 95%, are done by the top 5, 6 lenders, and then we've got another 138 of them below that. Many of them that have received 0. That's not by accident. It's not by chance. There's a reason. There's no AE relationship. They haven't come through. They promised a shiny apple for that one deal. Didn't obviously go through. And then people said, well, I'll never use you again. I'm telling people it's okay to not. I have people, typically there's a reason why somebody's been turned down a few times. And yes, sometimes if it's coming from a direct lender, if you can isolate it quickly and say, oh, you know what, they had an overlay for that low credit score, I can do that. That's different. But you know what? You just filed bankruptcy last week. There's a reason why you're not getting approved, and we're not going to be able to do that either. Identify it. Don't beat it with a rock, because who they remember? The realtors and the borrowers, they remember the last person that they worked with, not the 20 before that said no. And so if you're the last person, just move it quickly and get on and spend your time putting out the right fires in the right direction. Because believe me, every loan has at least one challenge right now. Nothing's perfect out there anymore. I'm sure if the rates start to drop, we'll see some better stuff. Hey,
well, no, I mean,
what's that?
if you look at it, it's first off, yeah, it's like losing at musical chairs. If you're the last one to have it, yeah, you lose. And it's important to say no. It is 100%, and it's also important to have your roster of lenders that you trust. You've got to have your A, B, and your C team. Your A and B's. Your main people that you like to work with. Your C is all your oddball stuff, that weird loan that you want to do on the the farmhouse that's made out of some weird material that's on 50 acres of land in the middle of New York City. I mean, that's where you got to have that C team stuff. But yeah, you're 100% right. There's only so many lenders you can use before you hit analysis paralysis. You're starting to worry over 0.1%. It's not really worth it.
You're identifying them just by rate, and you've completely taken out the experience that you're going to give your clients and your real estate agents, who are going to hate you for dragging them through that transaction before it's over. And people always say, well, Rich, you're UWM. I'm like, I don't take all my deals to UWM. There's some things that I find do better, especially self-employed and or my investors, especially if they have lots of rental properties. I tend to take those other places because you can tell by pricing which lenders, there's
Have an
things that you,
appetite.
yeah, they have an appetite for it. They still burn and turn. I want to talk right up front with the underwriter who's going to do that loan so that we can get on the phone directly. I don't want to go through an underwriter two to underwriter one. Now, if they have one rental property, maybe three or less, hey, because UWM's designed to play the percentages of what they get. They don't want to put a whole team to the one-offs, right? Let those other lenders have that one-off so that they can keep their turn times quicker and things. I get that some people want to go down that route, and that's not just them. I mean, Lone Store does it, Kind does it. Resi Central
Yep.
probably has things they don't
We
want
have
to
the
say yes
exact
to.
same thing.
Yeah.
Exact same thing. Because I was going to say we've got our own parameters. We have certain stuff that we look for, and that's how we managed to be at about 11 business days sub to CTC for quite a while.
I was going to ask you that. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing
about
that.
11 business days sub to CTC.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, and the underwriters that we have, are they able to answer the phone every single time? Like UWM, obviously, you're able to get somebody immediately because they've got a lot more people. No, but they will give you a call back, if they don't answer. And we hire nothing but experienced underwriters. So
should we be not texting? Should we be emailing an underwriter? This is an honest question. So we have a question on a condition at Resi Central. I'm just asking, what's
I'll give
the
you
best
what I
way?
tell
Go
everybody.
through you first, and ask you, or go straight to the underwriter that's on the approval to ask a specific question? What do you recommend on that?
I recommend the easiest way to go about it with us. So usually I handle the front end, helping you bring the loan in. The midpoint of the loan, once the loan's gone to underwriting, I recommend reaching out to that underwriter. I'm a big fan of picking up the phone. If they don't answer,
really,
shoot
I
them
didn't
an
know
email.
that about you.
No, I'm 100%. Let's cut to the chase. There's so many things that get dragged out over email. So especially with conditions, concerns, I want you to pick the phone up, give them a call. If you can't get them, email
Leave
them.
a message. Okay.
Email them. Maybe leave a message, but email them and say, hey, look, give me a call back, or email them what your concern is. Make sure that you're including me, and I have a support specialist, Gina, who's awesome. Make sure we're both on there so that we can keep track of things, because look, things fall through into the cracks all the time. Don't care who you are. You do it, I do it, it happens. And that's a way to have everybody stay accountable and on top of things. They will get back to you. And I always tell people, if you talk to the underwriter and you have a disagreement or a concern and it isn't resolved after talking with them, please come to me. That's where I jump back in again. And I'll go to the head of underwriting. I'll call my vice president. We're of a size where, I mean, my vice president's on vacation with his kids right now. Not a big deal. I could literally call the president of the company if I had to, and get what we need done. So, I always tell people that first time, that's fine, but don't keep going to the same well over and over again. Just come to me and we'll get it sorted out. Don't bang your head. Go get another deal and let me deal with this. Exactly. Don't beat yourself up over it. Just get it to me and we'll get you, we'll get you on your way to another deal, and I'll take care of this for you in the meantime. I don't mind.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Well, this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for helping grow the Xpert platform. Thank you for, professionalism and not giving up and continuing on, because there is something lost with the newer AEs that have just been around a few years. They don't know what they don't know, and it takes that seasoned veteran. And we have some incredibly seasoned people in like our top 5 to 10 people. And it's not an easy market. Hell, anybody could do it when it's easy, but in a tough market, to be able to get right to the right people that could really answer a question, like, you don't have to beat your head against a wall. It's like, oh, this is not something UWM will do. I wonder if Tony will do it. Well, get Tony on the phone and ask, right? I get it that everybody has different platforms, different ideas, things that they're looking for. We don't force anybody to go to any specific lender. But they themselves have made you one of the top people of our company. And so you deserve that, because I know how hard you work. And I could say that probably about all top 5 to 6 AEs. I know I can already tell you, they're all going to say, well, what are you talking about, Rich? I take after hour calls. I'll take something on a weekend. Yeah, I get involved. I know the winning formula, and people call up and say, oh, I love it. Oh, really? Tony gets all that business? You know what? We just want to get half of Tony's business. I'm like, well, let me understand this. Tony's earned it. Tony works his butt off. How would you feel if you were Tony and I called up and you said, Rich, well, you're giving me X amount of deals and all of a sudden they're cut in half. Some new guy on the block came over and I just took half your business. I mean, really? That's what you thought of me? And it's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing?
And it's not about you could do it once. Anybody can answer the phone once on a Saturday. Anybody could do it once. It's about being consistent in that motion. And, I tell you, wherever we're ranked right now that we're live and arrive, the call
That's right. You
volumes,
guys are live and arrived. That's
we're
correct.
live and alive, and now the call volume has definitely gone up. The emails have gone up. So I know that we're going to keep moving forward and growing, which is great. But I think that there's a misunderstanding about it, and that's that you and I talked about this the very first time we talked. You said, I'm not going to give you handouts or anything like that. I hate when people they sign up and then they keep coming to me asking for business. So I'm never going to call you asking you why I'm not getting business. So I'm going to go and I'm going to earn it. And
yes, you did.
You have to earn it. And, you saying thank you to me, I want to say thank you to all of you, on behalf of myself, my family, this company. Thank you. You've definitely helped me and, the people I care about. And that's where I think there's that disconnect between some of the newer people maybe is not understanding, having not gone through some of the lean times. And you have to appreciate everyone that gives you an opportunity and every opportunity that you get.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. We always play down that part, but that's probably the hardest part is you fought for every one of those loans. One became two. And we saw it. Matter of fact, I remember Justin, because he was the one who was keeping the track of all those. He's like, man, are you seeing Tony's numbers? Like every month they're going up, they're going up, they're going up. And we would laugh because it's like, he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do, right? You understand, he said he was going to do that. And then you left and I thought, but I wasn't worried about it. I mean, as soon as you said where you're going, I was like, oh, I'm leaving and nowhere I'm getting out. That's not what you said. I'm going to Resi Central. Here's my reasons why. It's like, not a problem. I already know. I'll put money on this one. Within 12 months, he'll be right back to where it was. And so you've done it twice now. And what's funny is the AE that was there, who was getting no business, was all upset and complaining, like, you never gave me a chance. I'm like, I think you completely misunderstood the opportunity, because I've seen how a successful AE does it, and I've seen how an unsuccessful AE does it. And you're basically waiting around for the fruit to fall. Tony's out there shaking the tree every day, waiting for any fruit that falls. He gets it in the basket. There's nothing on the ground, and boom, the next day he's up shaking it again and again and again. And they get so used to it. Gosh, this guy Tony calls me all the time. Well, I'll tell you what, I've got 130 plus loan officers that don't call ever, or AEs that don't call ever.
Yep.
Like they're just out there waiting, hoping that somebody sends them a deal. I'm like, I don't understand. How will you ever break in to even have a chance? It's just crazy to me.
Well, and
you've earned it. You've earned it.
It's one of those things where people look and I see it happen all the time. They prejudge opportunities. They want to look at it and they decide in their head whether or not it's going to be good or bad. And I never know what's going to happen when I've got a new contact, a new company, any of that stuff. I never think about what I'm trying to think of the way to put it. I never prejudge it, because you never know exactly what you're going to get. I've had companies that were handed to me that were burnt out, horrible opportunities. Literally the account executive right before had ruined it. It took me 12 months or more, but they became one of the largest broker shops in the country. You can't think that deeply about it. Everything is a loser until it becomes a winner, and you'll never know if you don't pick up the phone or reach out in some way, shape, or form. And yeah, and I tell you what, it's funny you said that about me getting a hold of you. You were actually my first phone call when I left. You were my first call. That was the first thing I did was I got to call Rich.
Well, and the thing is, you don't call me very often, so
No.
I did take that call, and you told me, and I was like, that's the difference. The AEs that are busy don't call me. I only get calls from the ones that never get any business. And it's like, and what's funny is because I'm a loan officer too. So they call me, hey, Rich, do you have any business? And it's always that same spiel. I love it. Hey, you had sent me an email asking a question. I'm like, I did. I sent you an email. They all have this different technique. It's kind of funny.
Oh, geez.
Tony, I just took an hour. I want to say thank you, man.
Thank
First
you,
of all, This was a thank you to showcase you. I want to showcase our top 5 who definitely separated themselves from, because you are what Xpert is about, is separating, becoming one of the top in the nation. You're one of our top for us, which helps us achieve what we want. You're part of the solution. You're part of the winning formula, not part of the bad side of it. You know, the what do we talk about? The bottom 49% is fighting for less than 5% of the business. It's like, no, you know, you're part of the solution. So I just want to say thank you for who you are, how you conduct business. Thank you for being old school enough that you still have all that, but you're still teaching loan officers, talking to them. I know you've done some coaching with some of my people. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Just always helping people figure out how to get more business. But this was my way of saying thank you. I want to make sure I give you the respect that you deserve and say a heartfelt thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, buddy. And I thank you all, everybody in the family there. I can't thank you enough. If you need anything, of course, you know how to find me.
And if you have to call them on Saturday, I get it. But if you don't have to, then wait till Monday. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Hey, if it's burning, man, get a hold of me.
All right.
I'd rather do it than miss out on an opportunity for you. But thank you again.
Well, you got it. Like we say when we always finish an incredible interview, stay thirsty, my friends.
100%.
Hey, Tony, thank you so much. I
Thank you,
appreciate
buddy.
it.
Thanks, Rich. Take care.
All right, take care.